Now to this, a protest is underway for an 11-year-old boy who was shot by a police officer in Indianola, Mississippi. Adarian Murray was shot in the chest this weekend when officers responded to a domestic call at his home. His family wants the officer to be fired and charged. Murray has been released from the hospital and he is recovering at home, which is good news. Body camera footage of the incident, though, has not yet been released. CBS News correspondent Omar Villafranca is closely following the story, and he joins us now. Omar, thanks for being with us. Can you break down the timeline of the shooting and what we know about what exactly happened?
All right. Let me give you a little timeline that we just got from the attorney, Carlos Moore. He told us that there was a domestic issue that was going on late or early Saturday morning here in Indianola. And the mom, her name is Nikayla Murray, was having a dispute with her daughter's father. He had come over and was knocking on the door. They came in and they started arguing. She said that she handed the phone back to her son, Darian, and just said, "Hey, call grandma and call the police. He's upset." She handed him the phone to call for help. He did. He called for help and said, "Hey, this is going on. Please come over and help." Grandma was on the way as well. Well, Carlos Moore, the attorney for the family, told me that when officers showed up, that he said basically they were coming in hot, and Nikayla Murray told me the same thing. It went from banging on the door to trying to kick the door in. She opened it up, and she said the guns were drawn, and hey, everybody get out with their hands up. Well, when that happened, she says that the father of her daughter ran out on the backside. She came out with her hands up and told them, obviously, since a child had made the call, there are kids that are inside the house. So the officer, she said, yelled for everybody who's inside the house to come on out. She's walking out. Her mother is there looking in. And when that happened, she said that her son came around the corner with his hands up. Officer shot him. This is their side of the story. And she said that he was hit in the chest and it was in shock and ran to her and basically stumbled in her arms and was asking her, why did they shoot me? He thought at first it was a taser. He was airlifted to a hospital in Jackson, Mississippi. He was on oxygen, not on a ventilator. She clarified that for damage to his lung, and it went in here and came out the back. But her words, by the grace of God, he is home. He is alive, and he's physically recovering. And emotionally, she said it's going to be a long journey. What they're protesting for, and let me shift over here a little bit so you can kind of see, it's a press conference. The protest hasn't exactly started. They want the body cam video from that incident released. They have identified the officer as Officer Greg Capers of the Indianola Police Department. They want that body cam released. They wanted it released a few days ago. They gave the city 48 hours, and they said the city did not comply. Now, the Mississippi authorities here have basically said this is an ongoing investigation. But things have been released. Body cam video has been released before an investigation is completed. They're pushing for that because they want to put pressure on the police department to justify their actions. Because Attorney Moore says this is not justified, and a child was almost killed.
The search for 11-year-old Alpha Berry, an autopsy is scheduled today after police recovered his body from the Hudson River. Officers found the body of his friend, 13-year-old Garrett Warren, Thursday. The two boys had been missing for more than a week. Eyewitness News reporter Johnny Fernandez joins us from the Upper West Side with more on the investigation into what in the world happened here. Johnny, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Michelle. And truly heartbreaking news. Now, the boys were reported missing about a week or so ago. They were reported missing on the east side. And today, a lot of questions about what happened moments before the boys died. Now, NYPD, they spent Saturday morning here on the west side over on the Hudson after they received a call about a body floating in the water. Alpha's sister confirmed to Eyewitness News that it was, in fact, the remains of her 11-year-old brother. He was reported missing with his friend, 13-year-old Garrett Warren. Now, police sources familiar with the case told Eyewitness News that the boys were captured on surveillance last Friday over on the east side. They passed the park and they bought fish at a Harlem fish shop with several young men and then climbed through a hole in a fence near the water. Police say that they later received a call of two kids falling into the nearby Harlem River, and after an extensive search, the two never turned up. Warren's body was pulled from the East River on Thursday. His cause of death was ruled an accidental drowning, and family and friends are now heartbroken and remembering 11-year-old Alpha Berry as a loving and caring boy.
Loving, very close to mommy, always helping mommy do the work at the house. Maybe mommy doing grocery or doing the laundry or doing cookie cleaning the house. You understand? Every time give mommy, goodbye kiss when you go to school. So that's what happened on Friday.
13-year-old girl and her mother were shot and killed last night at an apartment in East Oakland. Police say another child was also shot and taken to UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland. It happened just after 11 o'clock last night on Birch Street near 94th Avenue. Two other children, a 7-year-old and an infant, were inside the apartment at the time of the shooting but were unharmed. KTVU has learned the mother's boyfriend, 46-year-old Antonio Lamont Powell, was arrested on suspicion of murder and assault with a firearm.
Searching for two suspects wanted in the robbery of a man in a wheelchair in the Bronx. It happened on West Kingsbridge Road in Kingsbridge Heights back on April 11th. Investigators say the suspects demanded money from the victim, who's 64 years old. When he refused, they punched him in the head. They took a cell phone. Do you recognize these guys? If you do, call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-5...
Intense search underway this morning for a man accused of raping a young woman in East Harlem. Police released these images of the suspect, seen here, wearing a black shirt with a teddy bear on. Investigators say that the 21-year-old victim tried running away, but the suspect caught up to her and assaulted her. It happened just before 2 a.m. near East 111th Street and 2nd Avenue. The woman was taken to an area hospital to be treated for her injuries. Police say the suspect also stole her bag and her cell phone.
Also breaking news tonight in the Bronx, where a man was stabbed and killed outside a supermarket in the Mount Eden section. The victim had been stabbed twice. He was taken to the hospital, and that's where he was pronounced dead. No word tonight on what led up to the stabbing.
Killed in a hit and run in North Bergen, New Jersey, is being remembered for his kindness to the community. CBS 2's Naveen Dhaliwal reports on how family and friends paid tribute to him tonight.
It was a tough night for many who are remembering Josh Wayamave.
He always had a smile on his face.
Josh represented kind, compassion, and leadership.
His family heartbroken and remembering a good soul with enormous love for his four-legged friends.
Eternal. He would wake up thinking about those animals, go to sleep with the animals around him.
Now I have all these guys, a great big family. I can't thank you guys enough.
For the 23-year-old, that passion turned into a dog walking business.
He grew it from the ground up.
And he loved showing his work on social media.
He was our dog walker for 3 years.
Maria Coyle has a special needs pup. Josh always went the extra mile with Bruno.
He was so good with taking his time and putting him in his wheels.
Josh was living the life until Friday night when police officers found a motorcycle lying in the area of Granton and Liberty Avenues. Several blocks away, they found Josh unconscious. He was rushed to the hospital, but his injuries are too grave. He didn't make it.
It's tragic. It's devastating, shocking for the community.
As a memorial grows here where Josh was found, what's even more shocking for his family and friends is that police say he was hit by another vehicle, and that driver is on the run.
We are going to find the person who did this.
And as the police search for Josh's family and his fur babies, they're trying to cope with the loss of a man who had so much promise, so much love, and so much to live for.
Tonight, a man fights for his life after someone stabbed him repeatedly on a residential street. The victim was outside an apartment building on East 19th Street in Flatbush when he was attacked shortly before 4 p.m. He has wounds to his head, neck, and armpit. At one point, police actually thought he was dead. They say he's 29 years old. There are no suspects at this time. New at 6 o'clock, a woman sexually assaulted by a home intruder in Brooklyn. Police released a sketch of a suspect. Investigators say he entered an apartment in Brooklyn Heights late Friday night and touched the woman as she slept. The woman woke up, so the man ran off, but not before grabbing the victim's wallet.
Following the tragic murder of 3 people at a home in Layton. Police say the suspected shooter killed his wife and in-laws.
Police first got the call before 10 this morning, and they've been on scene investigating ever since. This happening a few blocks away from the Layton Fire Department, which is where we find ABC4's Northern Utah correspondent Kate Gardner, who's been at the scene today. And Kate, what's the latest?
Yeah, I have been at the scene all day today. So just a little while ago, the police actually confirmed that this is a triple homicide. They say this is a case of domestic violence. It's happened at the home you see right behind me. This is the 1800 block of Gentile Street here in Layton. Now, there's still not a whole lot of information the police can give us at this time, but that is a big update. They are naming the 3 victims.
Of course, I was concerned they was 2 of the happiest married kids in the world.
Neighbors react to the news of a homicide.
Things to happen in other neighborhoods, not yours.
The 1800 block of Gentile Street is closed to traffic. Neighbors say it's a quiet area. This morning came as a surprise.
What is going on?
Layton police say 34-year-old Jeremy Bailey called 911 around 9:45 this morning, saying he had killed his wife and in-laws.
We know that there was a brief argument between the 2 of them, between Anastasia and Jeremy this morning. And that's really all we know. We haven't been able to determine a motive other than that.
Lieutenant Travis Lyman says Bailey was still in the home when police arrived. He exited the home unarmed and was taken into custody. Inside the home, officers found Bailey's wife, Anastasia Stevens, her father, Donald Stevens, and her stepmother, Becky Stevens. All had died.
We're still talking to Jeremy, but we're not getting a lot of information about what caused, what led up to this or caused him to do this.
Lieutenant Lyman says at this time, they do not know how each person died. Neighbors say this comes as a shock, telling me the couple often stayed to themselves, but offered a helping hand on occasion.
Well, yeah, they were friendly.
Mexico, at least 10 people are dead and 9 others wounded after gunmen ambushed a group of drivers at a road race event. The bloodshed happening in Baja California. No confirmation yet on the motive for the violence, though cartel violence has plagued this Mexican state in recent years. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has been tracking this story for us and joins us now. Valerie?
Zingley, this happened at an all-terrain car racing show. The gunfire erupting in the early afternoon, leaving participants stunned. The search is on for a group of gunmen suspected of killing at least 10 people in Baja California Saturday afternoon. The sound of continuous gunfire filling the air at what was supposed to be a peaceful car event in the Mexican city of Ensenada.
Lo que pasó ayer, pues, es que nos sorprende a todos.
What happened here yesterday, it surprised us all. I thought this was a peaceful place, but now I realize it's not.
According to Mexican State Police, a group of men with guns hopped out of a gray van on Saturday afternoon and opened fire at the people at the car show. The suspects fled the scene, and now the mayor of the Mexican city, Ensenada, has commissioned a special task force to investigate the massacre. The citizens of Ensenada left petrified.
This shooting really impacted us. When I heard the gunfire, I felt paralyzed.
The city of Ensenada has recorded 26 cases of homicide through April this year, far fewer than the nearby city of Tijuana, which has 598 homicides, according to the Mexican government. The U.S. State Department urging Americans to reconsider travel to Baja California due to crime and kidnapping, and warning of violence between rival cartel factions. The roadshow's organizer apologizing with condolences to the families of the victims and writing on their Instagram, quote, "We're as baffled as all of you, and we have nothing to do with what happened."
With a search for a suspect in a violent subway station attack on the Upper East Side. New York cops say he pushed a woman into the side of the train. This happened at the Lexington Avenue East 63rd Street station yesterday.
The victim, who lives in Queens, was critically injured. Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett live this evening in Jackson Heights with our lead story. NJ?
Yeah, that's right, Sandra. Here in the victim's neighborhood, Jackson Heights, Queens, just steps from the F train. Investigators now believe the victim was likely on her way home when she was attacked. 6 a.m. Sunday morning. The motive unknown, and the suspect remains at large tonight. The woman was on the platform at the 63rd Street station when police say she was shoved headlong into the rail car. The train was stationary, not moving at the time, but she suffered critical spinal injuries. Late this afternoon, sources say it may or may not have been a random attack. The fact is, crime underground continues to trend lower. Overall, major crime in the city's subway system is down 8%. driven by a decrease in robberies of just over 12% and felony assaults down nearly 13%. Statistics revealed at a New York City Transit Committee meeting just this morning. Transit Division Deputy Chief Norman Grandstaff.
With the exception of 2021, the heart of the pandemic, this marks the third lowest year to the start of a year. So, was it an anti-Semitic hate crime, or was it just coincidence that two trucks slowly drove past Jews leaving services at a synagogue last Saturday night and then tossed an explosive device at them?
Fortunately, no one was hurt, and they certainly could have been. A surveillance camera recording the entire attack in the Ocean County town of Lakewood.
Now, the search for the attackers. Here's New Jersey reporter Anthony Johnson.
This startling incident happened about 20 minutes after the end of Sabbath on Saturday night. A couple of pickup trucks slow down when someone throws a device out of the window of one of those trucks and into a wooded area. The trucks move on as two people are seen crossing the street. A few moments later, there was a flash, a loud boom, and smoke rises out of the dense brush.
I would think if they wanted to throw it at someone, they would have. And I was like, thank God they didn't, because, you know, there were people around, but maybe they wanted to scare people, maybe they chickened out. I don't know.
No one was hurt, but the noise led to a lot of concern as residents rushed outside to see what caused the big bang. The bigger concern is why something like this would happen here. There is a synagogue about 100 feet away from the wooded area, and it's the middle of an Orthodox Jewish community.
The police department was out there, the K-9 unit was out there, our detectives were out there. I know they're working and been in touch with some other partners as well in law enforcement, and they have not been able to determine what that device was. They think it was something like a firecracker or fireworks, something along those lines.
A video tonight showing a group of burglars take multiple cases of gold jewelry from a store in Paterson, New Jersey.
And with the suspects still out there, the longtime owners say they no longer feel safe in the store. And they tell CBS 2's Lisa Rosner they feel police are not doing enough to help.
Around 4:30 a.m. last Wednesday, exclusive surveillance video shows the gates lifted at Ramadan Jewelry Company on Getty Avenue in Paterson. One person covers a ring camera while the other carefully breaks the glass of the front door. Masked men rush in wearing construction vests and safari hats and ransack the place.
They took all my rings, and then they took everything that was in here. It was heavier sets.
Plus another display case and these belts. Manager Nancy Ramadan says they got away with more than $1.5 million worth of gold.
This is over 300 grams alone.
There are also people that live behind the business, and video shows the burglars actually locked this gate so no one would come in and out.
We feel violated. They came to our home and they stole our goods, this hard-earned money.
The family lives nearby and says they heard the store's alarm go off.
The entire neighborhood heard the sirens, the alarm, and everybody came out to see. They saw a U-Haul truck and people wearing normal clothes, so they expected that people were moving.
She claims while they waited for police, the truck got away. Police viewed surveillance video, but she claims they did not collect any evidence.
We are doing more investigating than the cops are.
Ramadan says police did recover one stolen car connected to the case, but she says the detective assigned to the case hasn't responded to calls or text messages since Friday.
There should be a police car over here or walking the way they do on Main Street all the time. We don't go out on walks at night anymore because it's scary.
In a statement, a Paterson police spokesperson said in part, officers reviewed the video at the scene and continue to pursue investigative leads. The department has reviewed the police response and has found it to be appropriate.
Right at West 162nd Street and Broadway, the victim identified as a 66-year-old man who was in town from Egypt to visit family.
All right, Fox 5's Christine Russo spoke with some of those family members and joins us live from Washington Heights. Christine, how's everyone doing?
Natasha, as you can imagine, just a really horrible situation here today. I've spoken with some of the family members. They've been pretty much sitting outside this deli, gathering all day. People have been coming by, offering their condolences. I spoke to one of the cousins. They say they flew in from Tennessee last night, and it's actually their first time even being in New York City. So now they're just trying to gather information, plan a funeral, as they're just trying to still wrap their heads around what exactly happened here Tuesday evening. Devastating and disturbing video showing the moments right before 66-year-old Rada Gurgis was shot in the head outside his son's deli on West 162nd Street and Broadway. Bullet holes still in the glass today. Police say the man was just an innocent bystander and the unintended target of a drive-by shooting. The 66-year-old had come from Egypt 3 days prior to visit his son and pregnant daughter-in-law, who had been standing just next to him when bullets started flying. She was not injured. Witnesses say the suspects took off in a dark gray SUV with a New Jersey license plate.
This type of stuff doesn't really happen over here, you know? It's a really quiet neighborhood, you know, diverse.
Francisco Marte.
Police are searching for the suspects in connection to a string of robberies in Manhattan. Police say 4 individuals are wanted for 4 separate robberies in the past month. The latest incident taking place on Tuesday at 90 West Houston Street near Soho. The 4 male suspects walked into the commercial establishment, threatened the employee by pretending to have a gun in his sweater, and took about $1,400 worth of merchandise from the counter. The individuals then left in a dark-colored Honda sedan.